Tongjiyan Weir, also known as Yuanjiyan Weir, is located on the Meizhou-Pengshan Plain in the Sichuan Basin of China. Sitting at the confluence of the Minjiang River, Nanhe River, and the Xihe River, it intercepts the water and diverts it for the irrigation of about 35,000 hectares of farmland. Tongjiyan Weir was first built in 141 BC. Wen Wang, the then governor of Sichuan, ordered the construction of a giant weir on the Minjiang River in Wuyang County. As the headwork of Tongjiyan irrigation scheme, this weir featured 6 water gates to regulate water flow according to the irrigation demand. As Li Jifu of the Tang Dynasty writes in his Yuanhe Chorography of Counties and Prefectures, Tongjiyan Weir, 12.5 kilometers to the southwest of Pengshan County, was a giant structure on the Minjiang River with 6 water gates for the purpose of irrigation. During the period of 713 to 741 AD, Zhangzhou Jianxiang, the then governor of Sichuan, rebuilt the Tongjiyan Weir, expanding the irrigated area to more than 10,000 hectares. In 1145 of the Song dynasty, Zhulong Tingshi, the mayor of Meizhou, presided over another rehabilitation of the weir. At that time, the weir was 924 meters long, a rare record for an ancient weir, and the irrigated area grew to exceed 22,000 hectares. Tongjiyan Weir was built with bamboo cages filled with stones. Different types of cages called shunlo and pinlo were used for the construction of levees and the weir respectively. Pinlo has a trapezoidal cross-section. Every year, before the spring irrigation, craftsmen would make cages with local bamboos, fill them with stones, and put them into the river to block the water for diversion. These building materials, enjoying both strength and flexibility, were readily available, affordable, and easy to use. Lu You, a famous poet of the Song dynasty, once wrote a poem to depict the rehabilitation of Tongjiyan Weir. Lying on a rainbow, the barrage is 300 meters long. Bamboos from the West Mountain are woven into 10,000 cages. Wang Menggung, a local magistrate in the Qing dynasty, also recorded such spectacular scene in his poem. Song Hao, another local magistrate in the Qing dynasty, drafted the statute of Tongjiyan Weir, setting out special regulations on the construction techniques and annual repair method of the headwork. In the ancient times, damless water diversion technique was popular in the Sichuan Basin. Tongjiyan irrigation scheme is one of the few projects of the Minjiang River Basin which rely on barrages for water diversion. Tongjiyan Weir intersects diagonally with the Nanhe River with an angle of 137.5 degrees. As the largest and longest-standing movable weir in the Chinese history, Tongjiyan Weir represents major progress made in the field of hydraulic engineering. The bamboo cages filled with stones are easy to make and use materials which are locally available. A weir built with such materials could both withstand flooding and meet the irrigation demand downstream. As a result, the bamboo cages and pebbles had not been replaced by concrete dam with sluices until recently. Tongjiyan irrigation scheme has 3 main canals, 65 branch canals, and thousands of lateral canals and field ditches. The rivers to the west of the Minjiang River, including the Maohe River and Lichuanhe River, intersect with the canals of the irrigation scheme. Meanwhile, different levels of canals are distributed in a braided pattern. Mainstream of the Minjiang River is replenished with melted snow, and the seasonal changes in its runoff correspond to the shifts between the rainy and dry seasons. The impact of rainstorms covering large areas could spread through flood peaks. The braided distribution of the canal system, combined with its flood discharge gates, could widen the riverbed when flood peaks arrive and help discharge flood at different sections so as to quickly reduce the water level. Qiao Gongshuo, the mayor of Meizhou in the Song dynasty, once described in his poems how the sound irrigation and drainage system had protected crops from flooding and thus the importance of the Tongjiyan irrigation scheme to the well-being of the locals. The distribution of the irrigation canals displays a complex and interlocking nature. Despite being man-made, the canals share with natural watercourses similar characteristics which coincide with the principles of fractal geometry. Tongjiyan irrigation scheme has played an irreplaceable role in flood control and water ecosystem improvement in the small basins on the west bank of the Minjiang River, fundamentally bettering the urban and rural ecosystems of the region. In the ancient times, at the water intakes of the branch canals of Tongjiyan irrigation scheme, water was diverted by weirs or iron walls with embedded tubes. The latter is a kind of tool for water measurement and allocation that is rarely seen in China. At the headwork of the scheme, the height of the weir and the elevation of the bottom of the water-diverting canal influence both the water intake at the headwork and the flood prevention and control downstream. In addition, to monitor and regulate the water level, stones with 6 grooves were used as water gauges. And the standards of water level regulation set by Jiangqiu Jianqiang have remained in use till the Qing dynasty. From the water governance practice over the past 2,000 years, the managers of Tongjiyan irrigation scheme have summed up the principles of weir operation, formulated annual repair guidelines, mastered the technique of draining out excess water and sediment at proper sites, and set up a management system tailored to the scheme by establishing a professional management agency and the Weir Chief system. All of these have laid a solid foundation for the sustainable development of the scheme. Tongjiyan irrigation scheme has provided strong material support for the social stability and cultural prosperity of Meizhou City and thus transformed it into a land of abundance and happiness.